Hi, I'm Mary Kelly. I'm the senior faculty for Acutonics, which is the vibrational form of sound healing rooted in Oriental medicine. I'm in the state of Texas. This video is designed for Acutonics students and Acutonics practitioners that may want to send some of their Acutonics sessions long distance to their clients or to friends and family members. This is being shot during the COVID-19 virus epidemic, and we're all supposed to be isolating ourselves, and so this is a way to still use the Acutonics training that you have and continue your practice. There are many of you that may already do long distance healing and you have your own ways of doing it, and that's wonderful. I'm just providing this for students who may want some direction on how to do this, and this is basically how I do it. I've done it successfully in the last 2 weeks or so. So first of all, there are different types of long distance sessions that you can have with sound healing or Acutonics. The first one would be to have the client present at the same time in real time with you as you're providing the session. So of course, if you do that, you either have to have them on the phone, you have to have them on FaceTime, Skype, Zoom, some sort of platform where the person on the other end is has some sort of audio with you, or video or audio video, and you can do it that way, and then you're together over the miles, but you don't have to do it that way. Another option in sending long distance Acutonics is to basically text the person before you start, and text them that you're done, and if they want to, they can be peaceful, lying restful somewhere, and in a receptive mode. Another way of doing it, another option, is to send the session while they're sleeping. If you can find out what time of night they usually go to bed, and you're the type where you're a night owl like me, you can send the session during the nighttime hours when they are resting and receptive. But another option is that you really don't have to do any of that. You can provide the session when the person is going about their regular life. I did a session for someone last week where when I was sending it, he was actually installing a Ring doorbell, but it was completely successful. So it just kind of depends on what your preference is, what your client's preference is, and so you can choose those different options. You'll also need to be aware that if you're hoping to send the vibrations of the sound tools, whether they're the tuning forks or the gongs, bowls, things like that, most of the time the client on the other end does not hear the vibration of the tuning forks. They'll only hear it if it's the high frequency forks, those without the heads. They can hear gongs, they can hear chimes. So you can be doing an Acutonics session with the forks, and if you would like them to actually hear something and you have those other tools, you can play the same intervals that you're using with chimes, and then they'll hear that. Some people like to have the client on the other end in real time because the vibration will go through the phone or through the computer or whatever, and even if they can't hear it, they're getting that vibration. It is not necessary to be doing it in real time for it to be effective. I just want to make that clear. I'm not used to doing these videos, so you bear with me on my ums and the way I'm organized here. One of the very first things you want to do before you do a long distance session is to have good ethics, and that means that you will need to have the person's permission to send the session to them, or you will have to have the permission of the person's higher self. So what do I mean by that? I mean that it is possible for the higher self of a person to receive healing energy and then absorb that for the person and give that to the person. So in those cases, very easy, everybody can do this. You may have your own way of asking and getting confirmation on things. Maybe you use a pendulum, maybe you use other means, but a very easy way is to use yourself as a human pendulum. Ask what a yes is for today. I'm leaning forward, okay? Ask what the answer to a no question is today. Today I'm leaning backwards. There's your yes or no, and you can ask, is it acceptable? Will the higher self of, Joe Schmo in Kansas accept a healing session for Joe Schmo today? And you'll get a yes or no. So it's just another way of double checking whether it's acceptable for you to send that and that it'll be received. And then the higher self can receive the energy and integrate the session for the person. One of the things that I also recommend that I do, okay, it's up to you whether you do it, is to make what I call heart holograms around you. Like you'll say, I make a heart hologram around me, Mary Bird Kelly, here in Hurst, Texas. I make a heart hologram around Joe Schmo in Kansas, and I make a heart hologram around the two of us. You can also cement those holograms with a little sound. I usually do it with my own gong. Put a heart hologram around me. Put a heart hologram around Joe Schmo in Kansas, and put a heart hologram around the two of us. So what am I doing here? And I can set that at 33 million frequency of divine creation, 33 million times Godspeed. You're kind of like blowing out and sending it through the miles. What do I mean by a heart hologram? Holograms are just, let's say, an intentional bubble of energy that you're putting around yourself, that you're putting around the other person, and then you're putting around the two of you. And this kind of, when it comes from the heart, when I say heart hologram and we're creating from the heart, that means that it's one. It doesn't have polarities, it doesn't have divisions in it, it's just one, and it's coming from the heart. So we make these heart holograms, and then that way we kind of have this protective bubble, so to speak, around us, that there won't be any interference of other energies while we're working. So that's always a nice thing to do before you start. Here, if you have someone like a child or a husband or a friend that wants to be a body double, you could work on that person, but what you're going to want to say out loud is that this person is a surrogate for Joe Smo in Kansas City, and we are sending, this session that I'm performing on this person, this surrogate volunteer, is being sent across the miles and is intended for Joe Schmo. All right, so that's if you want to work with a human volunteer. It's not necessary, but some people have that capability and they want to do that. The other things you can do is some people put a teddy bear or another stuffed animal on the table, on the treatment table or the bed, and then they're going to be using their tuning forks during the session on the stuffed animal or on a doll. Some people have a poster, big posters of the acupuncture points, and they put them on, the table. You don't really have to do anything. What you can do, what I do at this stage, is I just, pretend that the person is here and use the approximate locations of the acupuncture points and the chakras as if the person is actually here. Okay, so it's very important to say out loud who this session is for and where you're sending it. This is during the time that you've done these heart holograms, okay? Now, if you have Sedna tools, I like to send the intention, I'm sending this session to Joe Schmo in Kansas City, Missouri, let's say, and I may send that through the miles by using the sound of a Sedna chime or a Sedna gong. And I'm sending that out, all right? I'm making this connection, let's say, to the person across the miles. And why am I using Sedna? You don't have to do that, but if you have it, it's great. Because Sedna is the energy of interdimensional spaces, time traveling, non-linear things. This is a very non-linear way of healing when we're doing long distance. And she also is associated with sound and sound healing. So it's really nice for her to be the carrier wave for your session, like that. So then you make this hologram of the person's body. You pretend that they're here. If it's a teddy bear, it's the hologram of Joe Schmo. And you kind of just make this hologram or a body template as if the person is here. And you're going to make this template and you're going to open it, all right? So the next part of this would be the actual session itself. Okay, so during the session, I like to make, again, heart holograms around the extraordinary vessels that I'm using. If I'm using extraordinary vessels, I'll say I'm making a heart hologram around her Chong or around her Yang Wei, around the points or the chakras, and I make these heart holograms because they basically are almost like little portals that kind of like intensify the sound and intensifies the healing energy. And I'll say I'm setting, and I'm using the forks, but I'm saying at the same time, maybe, that I'm creating these heart holograms around the extraordinary vessels, the points, the chakras that I'm using. I'm setting them at frequency of divine creation, 33 million times God's speed. And I usually breathe out while I'm doing that. And then the sounds that you're using, whether it's tuning forks or chimes or whatever you're using, they're going through these holograms and they're just becoming a lot more intense and a lot more effective. So that's one of the things I do. It's very, very important if you're going to do emotional work. Right now we're having a lot of fear and anxiety because of the COVID-19 virus. So I will be doing a video about a session that Acutonics practitioners and students can do to address that. But if you're dealing with emotional things, you usually have better success if you make a heart hologram in the front of the person's heart. You could be, as you're working, you're saying this and doing this, okay? So you say that you're making a heart hologram in front of Joe Schmo's heart chakra, and you're filling it with all the known and unknown root causes of his emotional trauma or his anxiety or his diseases or whatever, his discomfort and his imbalances. Okay, so you're filling it with all that, and then as you're working, that sound is going to go in there and do that. And you can also set that if you want to at the frequency of divine creation 33 million times God's speed, if you would like to do that. Setting these holograms at these speeds is something I learned in holographic sound class from Dr. Paul Hubbard, who is out of Austin, and he teaches holographic sound. So it's like not my idea, and it's not Acutonics curriculum. Okay, so what else do we have here? Okay, so as far as during the session, you don't, as you're doing the forks down the person, say I'm going down their watu jajis or whatever I'm doing, okay? So I'm pretending they're here. I do everything like they're right here. I let them listen to it. I ground them first down on their feet, down here, I'm doing the grounding just like you would do a normal session. And, I'm going down their back, their watu jajis, whatever you want to do. You don't have to wait for the vibration to leave the forks. Just keep going, because you've got vibration that is, in the air, and it travels 400 times faster on the body than in the air, because we're made of water. So the vibration isn't going to go out. You don't wait for the vibration to leave. You just kind of keep going with it. And sometimes I back that up with, say I'm using ohms, and I do want the person to hear some things. If I'm doing a live session, I might play the ohm chime so that they can hear it across the miles. I can play, the ohm gong, that type of thing. Okay. If you're doing a live session with a client, the other thing you can do is you can either, be quiet and do your thing, or you can also narrate what you're doing. If they've had sessions with you before, sometimes it's really helpful to be saying, okay, now I'm going down your back. And the energy that I'm using down your back is relaxing and sedating. And okay, that's not necessary, but it's an option. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about closing, getting towards the end of a session that you're doing long distance. One of the things that I like to do is to kind of ask, under my breath or mentally, what the higher self of the person, please do an attunement or do any adjustments that need to be done for the person. If there's any guides, any angels present, any ascended masters that are helping with this session, to please attune the person and do what I am unable to do, as a human. At the very end, usually as I'm grounding the person, and you will ground whether they're there or not, okay? So as I'm grounding the person, I usually set all the holograms that I've made. We've made all these holograms, we put all these sound in them. Now we're going to imagine that we're just going to say that to fill all the holograms with the white light or the platinum light, healing light of energy, and to set all the holograms, all the heart holograms at 99 million times God's speed, frequency of perpetual motion. Now all these holograms will be in a perpetual motion, and it'll keep that healing going, all right? So then, like I said, you ground. If you use bowls, whatever you use, ground. If you use a drum, you use the drum at the end. You use everything like you're having a regular live session. And then Basically, I announce out loud that the session is concluded, and now you want to make sure that you close that body hologram or that body template that you made in the very beginning to work on the person. Now you need to make sure that you close that. So you go ahead and you close the body template, and then you kind of dissolve or cut any type of cords that you may have run with the person long distance in order to send this healing. And you thank everyone for helping, the helpers that came. And if you would like to, you can always end the session with some tinctures. So I hope you've gotten some pointers about how to send a simple session, some of the things that you would do in advance, during, and at the close of an Acutonics sound healing session that you're doing long distance. And my email and website will be posted at the end of this video in the text if you have any additional questions or concerns.